This week, I answer that age-old question. Can you paint a miniature with your hair?
Why would anyone do that?
Stick around, we'll talk about it. As a tabletop hobbyist, I am always looking for that new thing, that new skill, that new paintbrush, that new type of paint, that new technique, whatever it is, that new edge up on getting my tabletop ready for gameplay. Whether it's painting D&D, whether it's creating tabletop terrain that looks better, whether it's any of those things that will just make this hobby more fun and honestly a little more artistic than I have been in the past. I'm kind of shooting for that now. I want to be a better painter. I want to be a better builder. I want to make things that are not only fun to play with, but awesome to look at.
Look at this. Look at it. Look at it.
And so I recently bought a pack of paintbrushes just because I'm going through, a bunch of paintbrushes now as I paint, and I wanted some really small ones, and I found this obviously scam of a deal, to get 10 brushes for like $1. And I knew they weren't going to be great brushes, but I thought out of the 10, maybe there'll be one or two that I can use. And for 10 cents a piece, why not try? So that's what I did. And of course, they came, and like I said, two of them is a decent brush. The rest were all trash. And I thought as I was looking at them, I could make a better brush than this.
Sure you can.
So why not give it a shot? Why not try? Most of my brushes are synthetic. I don't have any sable hair or any of those fancy ones that people talk about yet. But I have hair. And most hair is pretty similar, right? This should be kind of the same. At least that's what I was telling myself. So I thought, why not put together my own hairbrush? And so that's what I did. I took the old handle and this little metal thing up here, and I popped them apart. I started pulling out the old bristles, which I thought was going to be simple. Ended up being a nightmare. It took me about 45 minutes to get those little bristles out of there because they were all just glued up inside. And so I was using pliers, I was using tweezers, I was using just about everything I could think of to get it out, but I finally got it all out. And then I went into the bathroom, grabbed some of my hair. Luckily it was, it's pretty long right now. And I grabbed one of the bigger spikes that I could find, and I cut it off. And then I took it, put some super glue on the base of it, and I wrapped it with Scotch tape. I wanted it to be circular. I wanted it to keep that circular shape. And so I wrapped it in the Scotch tape and let it dry. And then, almost as if it was meant to be, I slid it up into the metal casing and glued it down on top of a brush and clamped it down. And I made it, a hairbrush. Originally, it was about an inch long of hair coming out of the tip, which was just unmanageable. I mean, maybe not an inch, but half of an inch long. And it was too wispy. I guess my hair is too thin to use. And so I trimmed it down. Then once I trimmed it down, it still had a nice curve to it. And little hack here for those of you who use synthetic brushes and the tip of your brush has a nice curve to it. Get your wife's, your sisters, your mom's, whoever it is, get their straightening iron for their hair. And then just get your brush wet, get that iron hot, and just push the bristle down into that and kind of rotate it slowly until you have a nice and straight brush. And that's what I did. And in the end, I was actually really impressed with how it turned out. And so I had to find out, how does it paint? Now, the answer to that, before any of you start thinking maybe this is a good idea, is not well.
And it's trash.
The paintbrush has a lot of flaws, but it was fun to play with. So just kind of to talk about what those flaws are, you often talk about how well a paintbrush holds paint, the belly of the brush. When you get a nice amount of paint inside that brush, the belly of the brush on this was almost non-existent. I thought my hair holds gel pretty well. It would probably hold paint. Nah, it needs a lot more of it than was there for it to hold the paint well. And so it did not hold it as well as I had hoped it would hold. And so I was going back and forth from my palette to my miniature that I was painting. And how was the point? Like I said, I had to trim this thing down to get a nice point on it, and don't know why. Probably the reason human hair isn't used for paintbrushes is that it would not stay together. It reminds me of a brush that you've used for 4 or 5 years and it just is done. It's given up. It cannot hold itself together any longer. And so the brush itself just wouldn't hold its point, and I'm one of those painters that is constantly putting that brush in their mouth. Just so you know, I guess kind of an important point, I did wash this aggressively before doing anything else with it. Human hair, I washed it. Okay. And I'm one of those people that has to lick their brush a bunch, just kind of, it's just my style, I guess. And generally I only have to do it a few times as I'm painting. With this brush, I had to do it a lot. So if you like eating paint, this is a great one. This is a great one for you to try. But it didn't hold that point, and so it made the fine detail work almost impossible on this. Now, I'm confident that you can paint with just about anything that has a point. All you gotta do is put some paint on it and you can use it, but my synthetic brushes are way better than my hairbrush. I've heard that that's one of the reasons that sable hair is so good, is because it holds well, the belly of the brush is nice, and that point, it just keeps that point for forever. So one day I hope to try those. I hope to try out some sable hair brushes. So far, I haven't gotten to the point where I thought it was worth the investment yet, but soon. Anyway, it was a disaster, but it was a fun disaster, and I learned a lot from doing it. And hopefully you'll learn from my mistake and won't try to make your own. Until then, this is what I was able to do. This is the miniature that I was able to paint and how it turned out with my hairbrush. What is your favorite kind of brush? Tell me, is the difference between synthetic and sable hair that much difference? Is it worth it? Is it something that I should look into? And if not, what do you suggest? What is the best brush in your opinion, and why is it the best brush? People will tell me all day long what the best brush is, but if you don't tell me why, I'm not going to listen. So tell me why you think it's the best brush, and hopefully you can convince me, and then I'll take that and I'll run with it and see what happens. The point of this channel is to help people make their tabletop a little bit better. And if you can help me do that, power to you. And then I can turn around and I can help other people do that with what you've taught me. So send that my way. For the time being, like I said, don't use your own hair. There's a lot better options out there. Thank you for joining us today. Here at Pulsegate Games, we're all about making your tabletop a little bit better and helping you build your own world. And as always, just remember, don't spend so much time building your own world that you forget to spend some time in it. Until next time.